3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us again. This is Season 1, Episode 3 of the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from three Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. So, Goose, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about a lot of stuff. I just wanted to, before we get into anything, just wanted to kind of apologize to everyone who's been desperately waiting for our next episode. We were supposed to do it on Saturday/Sunday, but some, if not all of us, might have been hungover. I don't know. I'm not going to deny or confirm or out anybody who was indeed in that state of mind. But again, we want to just apologize for that. But we are back, and there. That's one way to put it. That's one way to put it in the modern era. But the silver lining is you'll get 2 episodes in a shorter amount of time, so that's good. Speaking of drinking, though. Speaking of drinking, Mo, what are you having this fine Wednesday evening? Some
this
fantastic
fine Wednesday
H2O?
evening. I'm having actually. Well, yes, H2O was always by my side, but tonight I decided it was it's Wednesday night. Instead, how about we have some nature's blood.
Oh, I see.
Let's
That's not liquid
that way. So no, but it's
natural.
It's gonna help the state of mind.
It's for your glaucoma.
It's a natural. So it's a hybrid for your glaucoma.
What about you, Nani?
I'm drinking vodka again.
Vodka.
Yes.
I thought you would switch it up with scotch once in a while.
Yes, but I had scotch yesterday, so yes. And I'm a creature of habit. I switch it around, so yeah. So yes. Vodka today.
So
that's what happens. It's the pandemic. Nobody can judge me. I'm sorry.
No one does, except on Saturday when you're hungover.
Yeah, kind of useless. Thank you. You said you weren't going to call me out. Thank you.
I didn't, but it just happened.
It just happened.
Well, I'm drinking some scotch. I'm drinking some scotch, Balvenie,
what about you,
cask. It's pretty good stuff. Hopefully it loosens up the tongue a little bit, so we can be more eloquent than in previous episodes.
I don't think we've been that bad.
Apparently, we rambled a lot last week.
Well, yeah, we do tend to ramble. It happens, but it's okay.
We were just so proud of our hijinks at Star Wars Celebration.
I know, we were.
But getting down to the meat of it, I don't know if we wanted to kind of, before going to our main topic today, I don't know if we wanted to discuss anything about some of the news concerning Ewan McGregor and the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, or some of Daisy Ridley's comments on her allegedly originally supposed to be a Kenobi.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about the Daisy Ridley thing. I mean, there were a ton of rumors about that, so we were all kind of thinking along the same lines. I think we were all kind of surprised when she did ended up being a Palpatine. Being a Kenobi would have been cool. I thought at the beginning that she was going to end up being a Skywalker.
She did.
But, well, just because she changed her name doesn't mean she's a Skywalker. I'm sorry.
Right. Tell that to everyone who changes their name every day legally in court.
Yeah,
I know, but she just
exactly.
I think
this argument.
Honestly, I think Palpatine. Even though I'm not a fan of Rey Palpatine, I think Rey Kenobi makes way less sense because Obi-Wan was a big. He was big. I'm following the Jedi code to the point where he didn't consummate his love with Satine. So to say that then all of a sudden. I don't think he did. I don't think he did.
Just in the...
No, if you read Master and Apprentice and you read all these other things, no, Obi-Wan, it was all platonic. Because I don't think even Qui-Gon, even though he was kind of the maverick rogue Jedi, I don't think he consummated his love for whatever being he would have feelings for, like his Padawan Rael Averross did in Master and Apprentice. He frowned upon that. So that was a good little nugget of information that book offered us.
Well,
I've yet to finish.
Well, regardless, I actually liked when in Last Jedi they kind of make her a nobody.
Yeah,
kind of highlighting that. highlighting that anybody could have been
That was the best Jedi.
a powerful Jedi. I mean, Luke, the Skywalkers came from nothing too. I mean, midichlorians, but whatever.
We don't talk about midichlorians on this podcast.
But I mean, Anakin Skywalker was a nobody. He just happened to have a cool sounding last name, but he was a nobody, you know. And Rey could have been the next line of nobodies. She didn't have to be one of the famous ones. I think they kind of ruined it by making her a Palpatine.
Yeah, I think
it was fun to think that she was a nobody.
That's the problem with the movies. They just want to shoehorn in everyone being related. Jaina has to be related with Lando Calrissian, even though that was, I think, allegedly shut down at the end. But it's just not everyone has to be related. Not every saga has to follow every single bloodline, and that's why I think the Mandalorian is kind of a breath of fresh air, because it's just it's just new characters, new people, new interactions with no forced connections to anything that came before. It's organic.
Because now that when you say that, it's such a big galaxy, and then all of a sudden it's all the same people just meeting around and having children between themselves. So it's kind of weird,
yeah.
you know.
I mean,
to put it that way.
They're kind of a weird royalty thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's as incestuous as the European nobility.
Oh God.
Today we learned about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. So let's just skip some of the other stuff. I think all of the Twitterdom has discussed everything else concerning the other things we wanted to discuss. Nani hasn't seen the Mandalorian trailer, so I don't think we can discuss that, even though it was amazing.
I avoid things when they first come out. I'm sorry. I enjoy being surprised.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that Baby Yoda has seen some shit.
He was the best part of that trailer. Obviously, I'm not going to say which scene it is, but towards the end, he is the MVP. Baby Yoda. That's the point. It's he was great before, but just this 2-second little scene there at the end, he's has risen above. They should call season 2 the Rise of Baby Yoda, to be honest.
Come on, it would be the rise of the child.
No, Baby Yoda awakens. No, we're beating that awakens thing with a bat.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's a good word.
Allegedly, there's a tie-in with Fallen Order. I don't know. Well, I would be super into it if they actually do the thing that I'm thinking about that I'm not going to mention because I don't want to ruin it for Nani, but I think everyone listening knows what I'm talking about. And if they do that connection to that planet from Fallen Order, that would be pretty cool. I don't know, Mo, if you catch wind of what I'm talking about.
No, man, I'm completely lost what you're talking about. You got my interest peaked.
There is a snowy planet,
please,
in the trailer that people think it's one of 2 planets. Okay. Well, Nani, you're sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. Go ahead.
We're going for it. But the planet,
just go ahead.
The planet in question, very, very specifically has the aesthetics of Ilum from Fallen Order / the Clone Wars.
Okay.
And apparently it might be that planet. And I think I would be all for it, even though I think that's one of those things that we were discussing before. It's one of those things of does everything in Star Wars have to tie in with everything else, or can it just be a new planet? I'm okay with it being a new planet, but I think it could be very interesting, the repercussions of it being Ilum. Because as we all know, right, Nani, cool. Ilum becomes Starkiller base.
Fine. I really have to get into the whole watching this animated series, okay? I know.
No,
here you go. I'm waiting for it.
What?
Oh. No, it's... well, yes. No, I didn't want to deny this point that, yes, you should watch the series. but it's based on the game. Right?
Bueno, Ilum sale is also on the Clone Wars. Yeah, Boost.
Spanglish.
Mhm.
We got some
It's
great
fine.
Spanglish t-shirts coming soon. But
Yeah,
so
I didn't play Fallen Order either, so ugh.
how have you not played
I'm a
that game?
horrible fan. Why am I even here?
You used to be better at this. I remember
I
a couple of years
know.
ago you were just on top of your shit, playing all the games, reading all the books.
Yep, I know.
It's
I got lazy.
Oh,
no,
you've
I
read
don't read all the
all the
books.
books, so. No,
Oh
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
I'm saying Nani
Nani
has
reads a
read
shit ton
way
more
more
books,
books than
but
I
she
have.
has more nuance. She has more variety in the stuff she reads than I do. I can kind of like focus on the wars, and she is a equal opportunity reader of media.
Reader of media. Well, yeah, I read a lot of manga too, so
Yeah, that's not. I never got into that.
yeah. Well, anyway, should we get going to the main subject?
What is the main subject today?
We are going to discuss The Force Awakens.
Really?
We kind of wanted to get into the movies, just try to deep dive into them. I think we decided to start with the newest trilogy just because it's been the less, discussed out of all of them. They've been around for less, I guess. That was the decision behind this, right? Yeah.
That is a
Yeah,
fact.
I mean,
that is a
they've been around
fact.
for less. So
They've
they've
around
been
for less.
dissected, I think, less than the other ones at
Mathematically,
this
you are
point.
correct.
Fine. Thank you for making fun of me. Now I know why I'm here.
Sorry
thanks,
it took
guys.
this long.
Uh-huh.
No.
I'm going to hit you if you weren't so far away.
Yes, I am.
You'll come back at some point.
I don't know. With that threat, maybe not.
Anyway, come on. Force Awakens.
5 years ago. Holy
Force
crap. How
Awakens.
time
Let's
flies.
just say
I can't believe it's already 5 years old, honestly.
time does.
I remember when Disney bought Lucasfilm and they announced Episode 7. Oh my god! I think I was starting grad school or something, and I remember all the theories and everything going on online and discussions amongst ourselves of what that movie could be like. And I remember there was one thing that I had a distinct image of for that movie.
Yep.
that kind of came true, actually. Almost came true. It was it was at night, they were in a forest and it was all hazy and foggy, and they were fighting the enemy. They were gonna be down on their luck, and all of a sudden there was gonna be a green blade that turned on into darkness, and all of a sudden a massive hooded figure swirling around, laying everyone to waste, and all of a sudden, bam, Luke Skywalker. And that's the climax of the movie. And we almost did get that in this movie.
I actually remembered when I was watching it in the theater, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe Goose actually got this right. It's gonna happen. This is going to happen. And then it almost did, but it was still I can't believe you got so close.
Would it have been better though that way?
I don't know. Honestly.
Yeah.
I really liked how they kind of just left him for the end. Even though I was really pissed at the time, I was like, that's it? That's all we get of Luke Skywalker? Him just staring at Rey?
I mean, it's a double-edged sword though, because I think it was one of the best endings ever, but also the thing that caused the most problems moving forward for the whole saga, in my opinion.
What do you mean?
Well, because I think we should start at the beginning, but now that we started at the end, let's just talk about that. But
no,
kind of
we can start at the end
Pulp
and
Fiction
float back to the
thing.
That's good.
I think it was problematic. I think it was awesome because how epic was that shot? All of a sudden, you haven't seen Luke. The whole build-up of the movie is where is Luke Skywalker? And all of a sudden, she goes up these epic, this epic landscape going up these stairs, and
it's amazing.
And you finally get to see Luke with his rigid Jedi regalia, just stand like Mark
the
Hamill.
robe and the hand and everything. And Mark Hamill just looking badass.
And Mark Hamill likes to point out himself, he was it was literal cliffhanger. It was Luke at a cliff, hanging at the end, and the movie ended on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
And it's just and I love that his because of apparently might be corrected in some future media, but because of that damage that from his hand in Return of the Jedi, he still has the robotic hand without any of the fake skin on it. Just that look of oh shit, they found me. What's gonna happen now? It was an awesome ending, but the problem, at least in my mind, is that it kind of forced Rian Johnson's hand to kind of there's not going to be a time jump, I guess. because every Star Wars movie has a time jump between each movie, except The Last Jedi. Last Jedi is just like, well, I guess we just got to start right there and like not flesh out any of the. I mean, I think it was good in terms of like Rey and Luke's dynamic to see what happened, but in terms of the greater story of like what happened between the Resistance and the First Order, it kind of like hurt that story a bit because it wasn't fleshed out enough. So it kind of like felt like that whole conflict was rushed to like its ultimate conclusion in Rise of Skywalker instead of like, you know, being fleshed out like it was in both trilogies before it.
I hadn't actually thought about that, but it makes sense. But I hadn't thought about that at all. The fact that, it is the only one that there's no time jump.
Yeah.
So
and people blame Ryan, but it's JJ's fault.
Because that's how he ended it. So what do you expect him to do with that ending?
Yeah, it's like,
you can't just
fast forward.
Suddenly, fast forward 5 years, and what the hell happened to Luke? You can't really do that with that kind of ending, which, I hadn't really thought about it that way, because you do kind of need between the Star Wars, because there's so much happening in all of them. You do kind of need those years in between the movies so that you can, I don't know, rationalize some of the things that happen. It's like, there's been years now there's more reasons for these relationships, or there's more happening with the war because it's been going on for longer. So I've never really thought about that. That's a really cool perspective.
Yeah, it establishes character motivations better too, because you see that they've changed throughout the movies instead of being like, well, we got kind of the same thing going. We're dragging that same stuff into this new movie instead of like you see in Empire Strikes Back with Luke. I mean, every character, but Luke specifically, between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
And what he becomes
Luke is a little more grizzled because he's, been a hero in the rebellion and he's been studying to be a Jedi. So he's a different character going through different things in this new movie. And kind of like Rey, Poe, and Finn are the exact same characters they were in The Force Awakens, because it's literally the next day, so to speak.
Yeah, you're right. It is kind of awesome that he just grabs a lightsaber and throws it.
I didn't like the. I didn't like how he threw it. Let's be honest. Like, I loved The Last Jedi, but I did think that was a little kind of jarring with how it was filmed. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Even though I wasn't ever like too big of a fan of like the importance that this sequel trilogy gave to that stupid lightsaber. It's just like, it's legendary, I guess, because it's the first lightsaber we see, but it's kind of like,
we never find out what happens to the green one.
I mean, especially when you look at the prequel trilogy and you see that in the prequel trilogy, like Anakin goes through lightsabers like nobody's business. They're lightsabers for Anakin are like his dirty undies, basically. He's just like, going through them all the time, and it's kind of like, okay, so why is this one important? This one happens to be the one he was using. He would have lost it in 2 weeks if Obi-Wan hadn't like mauled him down by the lava.
That's good. And okay, but we're getting off topic. Come on.
True.
We are fully getting off topic.
We'll make an episode on lightsabers. Let me write that.
Yeah, we'll do an episode on lightsabers. Anyway, yes, the ending. I loved it when I saw it. I mean, actually, when I first saw it, I was like pissed because I was like, "This is it. This is all we get of Luke." But it's still a great cliffhanger. Goose, I do actually agree with your perspective. So now I'm thinking that probably was not the best way to go. But regardless, I rewatched the movie last weekend and I hadn't seen it in forever. And I was surprised by how good I still think it is. Mm-hmm. It's been holding up really well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember, because you were talking about when they first announced it, I remember when they first announced that the original cast was coming back. I thought that was never going to happen.
No, I thought it was gonna. I thought it was more likely than Slash coming back to Guns N' Roses. With enough money, Harrison Ford will come back to anything.
Harrison Ford, please don't listen to this.
He's not. He doesn't care. Please
do.
It's better to have Harrison Ford hate us than to have him be indifferent to us. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, but he would be indifferent. It doesn't matter.
Highly unlikely.
But I remember when I first found out that they were going to be in it, I was super excited. And then that first trailer, when it came out, was amazing. The trailers were really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the best.
And then... Yeah, some of the best ones. And then the movie starts, and it starts with like Luke Skywalker has vanished,
The
and you're
best
just like,
opening line of
what?
any Star Wars movie.
It was fantastic. I was just like, oh my god, what are they doing with this movie? And then it was, entertaining the whole way. It really is. And that first introduction of Kylo Ren when he stops the laser blast.
Ooh, oh, I still get chills.
I still get chills. That's why I think they later underpowered him, because he pulled that off in the first few minutes of the movie.
And the cool thing about that scene, though, is kind of like he has like conversations with other people and he's doing shit. And he's still holding the blast. Only at the end do you remember that he was holding the blast.
Away,
and he just lets it go. So it's like, holy shit, this guy was just holding it with the back of his mind?
Yeah, it's like when it's walking away.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like I got this.
Is
like
ridiculous. This is so easy for me. It was so awesome. I still love that scene.
Yep.
And I like the banter that Poe.
Who talks first? You talk first. I talk first.
Like
I can't hear you with all the breathing.
Yeah, I was like.
Yeah. Well, Poe's another great character that was underused.
Well, he wasn't. I mean, he was great because Oscar Isaac is just, he's amazing.
Great.
He's great, and he did as much as he could with the little that was given to him in that movie.
Yeah.
Because they shortchanged him there. I mean, like we had said before, I think he was supposed to die in that movie, and then they liked him so much, then they kind of brought him back, and you could kind of tell that he wasn't really supposed to be in the rest of the movie. But he was. I mean, his hair looked really weird at the beginning. It looked like he was wearing some wig or something. I don't know.
The things you notice.
Yes, I noticed everything.
I mean, it's like after the 20
only
time
20. Amateur, yeah. You're not a true.
But I mean, come on, his return is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in Maz's tavern and you see the X-Wings coming in, and he's like in this black X-Wing, and that entire entrance is ridiculous. Also goosebumps on that one. And then that one shot when they kind of show you what, you don't like it?
No, I do.
Oh, okay. I feel like I'm getting judged all the time.
Well, you are, not this time.
Yes, and then that one scene that they kind of show Finn fighting on the ground, and then you can see Poe fighting in the air.
Yeah.
Like they'll swing around like to the aerial fight and then go back to Finn on the ground. And that is just great. And what they established there, that friendship between them and what goes on, I think they should have explored that way more than they did.
Pinfo?
Honestly. Pinfo, yeah.
Is it Pinfo or Pofin?
Well, I don't know.
Pofin? I don't know. Whichever. But I think they did a really good job of like introducing the characters like in The Force Awakens in a way better way. That's kind of redundant, but in a better way than they did in the prequels or the original trilogy with each character. I think like those introductions, specifically with Finn and Rey, were just amazing. Especially Rey's. Like when I was rewatching it over the weekend, Rey's introduction is just so poetic, for lack of a better word.
Well, I mean, that whole scene when she's scavenging inside of the Star Destroyer is beautiful.
Because it's so silent, she doesn't talk at all. It's just like you just see her and you see her like in this desolate landscape, and it's all music and some of the best Star Wars music ever written. Rey's theme is just a masterclass by John Williams, and like
the score is amazing. Correct. Go Mo.
And like when you see that scene like introducing like I equated when people usually critique like, oh, Rey didn't have like training or anything. Like she had that. Yeah. That's her real life training. She had to survive from being like a tiny little girl all by herself in this desolate
I think they set it up definitely, but I think the problem with that was sorry for interrupting. Was that like they were showing it from Finn's perspective, so you see her fighting with her staff like a badass and kicking everyone's ass, but you see it kind of like from afar. You don't see it. Like they don't like focus on her fighting, and I think if they had done that and shown her like as the main point of view for those type of fights, it would have been more clearly established that she's a fighter. We don't need to like understand it.
But you don't need to be a fighter. You more need to be a survivor. It's somebody who at the moment can make the best calculated decision, and that's what surviving and scavenging I think that's the beauty of that, like scenes, like it establishes, how this person can be more intuitive and more in tune with their own feelings and force than a Padawan or somebody in the like a Jedi Order. I don't know. To me,
I mean,
that's just
a
my
correct
opinion in that
opinion.
sense.
I concur, Doctor. There is one thing that kind of was a pet peeve of mine with The Force Awakens, and that obviously carries on with the rest of the movies in the trilogy, and it's it's a pet peeve, so obviously it's very petty. But it's like the ship designs and whatnot. I felt like, God damn, it's been 30 freaking years since the fall of the Empire and the rise of the New Republic, and we have the exact...
You wanted them to be back to the rise, like when the Jedi were at their peak.
Well, no, the thing is,
I
think that in 30 years, all the ship designs, armor designs, everything in the galaxy should
have gotten an upgrade.
I mean, they did get upgrades, but aesthetically, they looked like reasonably the same. And like I compare it to the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, where there's like maybe like 18, 19 years between Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and like you see the progression from between episode 1 to episode 3, the progression of all the ship designs, and then where they were at episode 3, and then how they end up in episode 4. You see like there's a big change, like in how everything kind of evolved through all those films, and like in these films it's kind of like everything looks the same. And like I get that Disney wanted to hit us hard with that nostalgia, and got them, and they definitely did. But in the back of my mind, it's just like, we should have been different. Should have gotten more weird shit.
I agree and disagree with you, because I think they should have. For Force Awakens, it made sense. And then, well, now that you brought up the whole, there's no time difference between.
Yeah, they had no time. They had no time to upgrade.
No, but I'm gonna
here we go.
Play devil's
Fandom menace
here for that. Okay, so the fandom menace. So in the between the transitions between the sequel and the original trilogy, you have have a lot of expenditure on military ships. So obviously there's going to be competition for just a brand new ship who's going to make the buck. Then you have a shift to an empire where you have to establish power. So obviously you have to scrap everything and just create this
war
potent Trump's what team.
And that happened. There we go.
And that happened. Not that I disagree, but let's go.
Vote him out. That's all I'm gonna say.
But then even though it's but then when it comes from the original to the sequel, it makes sense that there's not going to be like that much technical change, because there's no centralized government. All of a sudden you had an empire and just scattered around, so people are just going to be focused on how can we
but the New Republic was a centralized government, and the First Order was a centralized entity that was being bankrolled by some...
Yes, but this is another problem again, because they don't establish how effective the New Republic, how expansive it is. Yeah, you see that it's 3 planets that get destroyed, obviously, but you don't see how the form of government has actually been. And you don't really see the origins of the Last Order either.
Which I don't mind, actually, that they don't show us, the inner workings of the New Republic, because God damn it, they did that.
I didn't need more.
I know. I didn't parliamentary need order, but something.
I know. We did.
I
do like that. Okay.
You do like parliamentary order in a movie. The sheriff from Naboo is like.
It's fun.
It is interesting, but they leaned on it.
It's interesting.
A little too hard.
Too much. I think they leaned on it too much. Agreed. Yeah.
And
I'm not saying that they should have added more of that into this one, but I'm saying, now I'm agreeing with Mo here, that you can't assume how the workings have been, and you can't assume how much innovation you can have when they're trying to get the galaxy to work in a different way.
I mean, 30. Okay, fine. Maybe the Resistance has like the crappy T-75. I think they're T-75s or T-70. Someone will correct me. The newer X-wings, but that are still old by New Republic standards. Fine, that's the Resistance because they don't have money. But like the First Order can have some like bitchin' new ships. Like, and I think Rian Johnson was trying to do that in The Last Jedi with the dreadnoughts that looked like totally different from everything. But like in Force Awakens, the Star Destroyers look like the old Star Destroyers. The TIE fighters look just like the old TIE fighters. He's like, okay. Stormtroopers look like Apple designed them, which is great. But like it's still the same. I don't know. I feel like there could have been like more visual variety. Yeah.
But how much money and design went to Starkiller Base?
Yeah, I mean, but so, like if we're gonna go into that,
like you're terraforming a planet to absorb energy from a nearby star. Yeah. I'm sorry, like all of your research and development
but to
will
counterpoint
be
your argument, this is sidetracking the conversation.
Again,
the first order is not designing the ships.
We're talking about Starkiller Base.
They are hiring other companies that like are producing these ships, and they are buying it from them. Some blaming it on the designers and all of these like ship manufacturers that got lazy and didn't design new ships.
They didn't necessarily have to get lazy. You don't know how much money they have to spend. After how much money you spend in Starkiller Base, how much money do you have to spend on new ships?
I'm pretty sure.
Right, you get old ships that are.
I'm pretty sure that like if you see Snoke's golden dress, I'm pretty sure that guy had money to kill.
Okay, so we've now gone through Star Wars politics a little bit, and now we're going through Star Wars economics. I mean, it could be a thing. That could be a subject. So
it could be a thing. Well, we're talking about.
Let's bring it back to the New Republic.
Starkiller Base.
New Republic should have been more present in that movie.
They should have been. I agree. They should have been more present.
I am absolutely. I refuse to believe that like the whole New Republic fleet was stationed in orbit on Hosnian Prime and that all of it was destroyed. That's impossible.
You would think they would have learned something, from everything else that happened.
In one basket.
In one basket.
Don't put all your eggs in one.
They learned that on Hoth. That's why they had like a mobile fleet in Return of the Jedi. Which would have been like a cool payoff then in Rise of Skywalker. If like we would have like heard some rumblings in The Force Awakens as there's like remnants of fleets from the New Republic out there like looking for allies. So then like in Rise of Skywalker, like the New Republic remnants on the New Republic fleet, bam, show up to like back up the Resistance and blah blah blah. But we'll talk about Rise of Skywalker in another episode. Just think that like
we keep gravitating over there because we love it. I know we're biased, but we have to stay on subject. Come on.
Well, we don't love The Rise of Skywalker.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking about Last Jedi first.
I know, because we love it too much.
I know. Yep. Anyway.
Character introductions. Character introductions were great. How do you feel about the planets in The Force Awakens?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, Jakku is basically...
Tatooine.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, either just make it Tatooine or figure out some other type of looking planet. If you want to introduce a new planet.
I think we were talking about this the other day, actually. I had told you that, like, I think a cool happy medium would have been, like, marrying what George Lucas did in the originals and the prequels. Like, in the originals, obviously, we have these quote-unquote exotic planets that are based on actual Earth locations. And then in the prequels, we have, like, these CGI super weird planets. And I think the Force Awakens / the prequels could have used a little like happy medium there where like, we're going to like real Earth locations that look exotic, but then like augmenting them with some CGI so that they look a little more alien instead of just like making them look okay. So we're just banking so hard on nostalgia that we're just going to make everything look exactly the same as the original trilogy.
And it is cool, the parallel. She was also, learned to survive in a desert planet, everything. I think the nostalgia was really needed. I think we did need that breath of fresh air. Not to criticize the people that are fans of the prequels, but I'm a really big fan of the originals, and the prequels just I hated the prequels. And then obviously, if you were raised with the prequels, I can't judge you because that's what you saw first, and you love that, but I still kind of judge you for it. And after all of
I will not judge you, but you're wrong.
So after all of that and being so disappointed in the prequels, I think that the fandom did need a little bit of like nostalgia. We did need it back, and I don't mind that much that it was almost basically A New Hope.
I mean,
but
it was.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing though, because
George and it doesn't actually take
any stuff from other shit. So it's like, why can't we not keep doing that as long as it's a good movie?
Well, of course, yeah. He stole from Dune, and every fantasy ever made has stolen from Tolkien. It doesn't take away from it being good. The fact that it's a rehash doesn't mean it's not good.
Exactly.
So we really did need that, nostalgia, I think, to bring us all back and get us to love the Star Wars movies again. But you kind of had to step away from that, which The Last Jedi did, but then Rise of Skywalker set us back again. But I'm getting off topic now. But anyway, I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that Jakku looks exactly the same as Tatooine. But like you say, Goose, they could have tried to make it, a little bit different. So it wasn't exactly the same. But how awesome is it when they first get into the Millennium Falcon and you see the Millennium Falcon fly again?
Oh, yeah. Such a good scene.
I thought it was. I really liked that. They were like, "Oh, that's just a trash." And I was like, immediately,
it's
like,
garbage.
"Oh, that's
and then it just
it's garbage." And I was like, "It's definitely Millennium Falcon." Yeah. And then and every time I watch it with my husband, we always like stop calling the Millennium Falcon trash. That's the first thing we say. And then when she starts to get it up and she starts scratching it, it's like, oh my God, don't hurt the Falcon.
Even though Han has done way more terrible things to the Falcon.
I know, but I felt insulted by a new character hurting the Falcon.
Well, she doesn't know that the Falcon was the Falcon.
I know. I will forgive her that, but in the moment, it still hurts.
Wait. We gotta do based on what Nani just said, we gotta do a real quick question. Does the Falcon belong to Rey or Chewbacca or Lando? Go.
Oh, Chewbacca.
Mo?
My heart wants to say Chewie, but I think legally
Don't get into laws. They didn't actually exchange it lawfully. It was a bet.
I'm sure Han had a will. I'm sure Leia made him sign a prenup. Or I'm sure a princess of Alderaan, a general. She's not gonna marry some pirate and be like, nah, we're gonna get a prenup, and you're getting a will. She's got some Alderaanian lawyers.
Absolutely.
Oh, so you think Leia gets?
No. I'm saying that I'm sure that like Han has like an order of succession. I'm sure it would have gone to Ben, but then he bit the dust, and I'm sure that after that it would have been Chewbacca. I don't think Han ever in his life would have left it to Lando.
No, I don't think he would have ever given it back to Lando. Even though he loved Lando, that was a love-hate relationship.
I think he would have given it to Jabba the Hutt before Lando.
But I don't think Chewie.
Chewie should go back to his family. Let's be honest. He has a family back in Kashyyyk. It's like
I agree with Mo on this. I agree with Mo on this. Like it should have gone to Chewie, but Chewie would have given it back because Chewie doesn't want to be a captain.
Yeah, like that's the thing about living for so long. Like Chewie, like already knows. He probably has already gone through relationships that have been great and been through a long part of his life, and they just end. Like he has a family. Like Chewie will have another hen that will last another 50 or 60 years, then pass away. Like this, like we're
oh my God, that's so
like pets to
depressing when you put it that way.
It is, but it's true.
But it is true. It is true. Like it has to be. Like it's just like your childhood dog. Like he'll remember Han, maybe a little bit more fondly like that. But it'll be just that same thing. Like, oh, this was a great adventure that I had for, like, and I have to move on. I have hundreds of years left of my life.
Oh, that made me really depressed.
that-
I
yeah,
agree
dude.
with you,
Wow.
but that really
I
made me
think I need another drink after that one.
depressed.
Speaking of Chewie, The
Oh.
Force Awakens is the first movie where we can see his fingers and his toes.
That's my.
That is true. I never noticed it till you mentioned it.
Wait.
It blew
His
my mind. I'm like,
toes.
wait, that's what his toes look like? It's like,
What?
that's so weird.
Okay,
You
now I
have
have
to
to really
rewatch it. Yeah.
but around what time?
Yeah,
does
because you
this
said you only
happen?
watched the
Yeah.
first half and your rewatch. Ay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta watch those fingers, man. Those toes, they're gnarly. There's some weird Wookiee shit going on.
But what,
It's when they're setting up
around what part is
the detonators in Starkiller Base right before Han bites the dust. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
like
he's
going up
going
the
upstairs
stairs?
and downstairs. Yeah, he's walking. Yeah.
He's walking.
Okay.
Love your description, Goose.
Eh,
Very
you know.
detailed and pinpointing
Yes.
where it needs to be. Yeah, very
Very
accurate.
How more
detailed.
detail can I get? That's when they're setting the charges up to blow up Starkiller Base right before Han
Yeah.
dies. That's pretty specific.
I know. Fine. Okay.
Yeah, no.
So let's talk about moments that we loved.
Oh.
How about the first glimpse we get of Princess Leia again?
That was good. That was good,
That was
especially
good.
because they put the Han and Leia theme from Empire Strikes Back, the love theme. I was like, oof.
I know. I was so excited, and then they're like trying to reconnect, and then obviously C-3PO gets in the way.
Blocking as usual with his stupid red
Blocking
with his
motherfucker.
stupid red arm, so they can sell
I'm
more
sure he
action
can't recognize
figures.
me because my arm is red. Idiot.
It's like, hey, this is a
Mhm.
marketing ploy, so we can sell more toys.
Action figures.
Mhm.
C-3PO.
And fuck the reunion of Leia and Han Solo that we've wanted to see forever. But that's okay. But anyway, great scene.
I'm still disappointed at the fact that Chewie didn't.
I know. I
hunt
was expecting that to
Leia,
happen. I
or
expected that
Leia
to
didn't
happen
hunt
too.
Chewie.
And I had kind of convinced myself that it did. So
But,
when I
like-
watched it and did it happen, I was like upset all over again.
I only get upset now because like
Right?
everyone's made a big deal out of it, but like watching the movie and seeing that Chewie was kind of busy with like taking Finn to the space emergency room and like seeing that he was busy with that, and then like Rey and Leia were doing their thing. It's like at least cinematically, like how the scene flowed. Like when I watch it, I don't mind it. I only mind it when I think about everyone else being pissed off about that, and I'd rather be pissed off about other things.
I honestly didn't know it was a thing.
I don't know. To me, it was just.
I
Like
didn't know it was a thing that people were complaining. I didn't know it was
Yeah,
a
I
thing.
didn't know
I
it
just
was a
noticed
thing.
yesterday because I expected it to happen and then didn't see it, and it upset me. But I didn't know it actually was a thing.
Well, everything's a thing with.
No,
Yeah, no.
everything's a thing.
Everything's a thing. Yeah, that's
But
true.
it surprised me because Chewie was
It
a big
is.
fan of Leia.
Chewie's got a big
Yeah.
heart. He's got a big heart. He's a
Yeah,
fan of
I know.
everybody, I think.
I know.
Except maybe
Gotta love
C-3PO.
Chewie. Because C-3PO is annoying. Who loves C-3PO?
Hey,
Nice.
hey! I used to think hilarious. C-3PO was hilarious when I was a kid.
Mhm.
I still do.
It's just like he's hilarious. It's just
But he's
sometimes
supposed to be
annoying,
annoying, though.
but
That's his
I
shtick.
still love him.
I know he is supposed to be.
But
annoying.
he's better annoying. He's annoying in a better way than Jar Jar.
Oh! I agree with you 100% on that one. Definitely. It's Jar
Sith
Jar,
Jar Jar.
conqueror
I'm
of the
so
galaxy.
glad that theory did not come true.
That would have really.
This
Your
true.
heart is.
In your heart,
it is
that's your head canon,
It's true.
Darth Jar Jar.
That's my headcanon. Sith Jar Jar. Absolutely. Like if you see Clone Wars with that scope, it makes sense.
Every time he screws up.
everything that happens, but every time he screws up and you see it through the lens.
Okay, I
of
think
Sith
I'll use
Jar
that
Jar,
when I
it just
keep
makes sense.
continue to watch it because every time there's a Jar Jar episode, I want to throw something because he's so annoying.
Yeah.
Oh yes, you have.
Yeah.
That's
Thinking
that
of
was how I
it like
got
he's
through them.
actually
I honestly
trying
just
to
put on.
entangle. Yeah.
Like if you if you see it as this is like such an evil Sith person that will fake this persona
Yeah.
or actually embrace it, maybe that's just embraced extremes. Like it's
Okay.
just
In this
chaotic
this
evil.
theory is Jar Jar Palpatine's master.
This theory, Jar Jar is everybody's master. It's just
Oh,
pulling
yeah.
everybody's strings.
Like,
He just does it for fun. That's it. Like it's just chaotic. I'm just having fun because I'm
that's
such
kind of
that- I'm
hilarious.
that
But again, off topic, guys. Come on, we were trying to be concise.
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar, I know.
can't stop
So
thinking
other
about that.
scenes that you guys, I know. Other things that you love about about the Force Awakens. The Force Awakens.
Harrison Ford, absolutely.
Yes, definitely. When he first shows up
Yep.
with Chewbacca, and then he's like, "It's all true.
Ah.
Everything's true."
It's like you could tell. I
Fantastic.
mean, you could tell that they paid him a lot of money because he acted very well.
He was great. Everything, all his interactions with Rey are great.
He was great.
Everything with
Like even with Finn, it was just great too. Like he embraced.
I know
that
he
role
went back to
perfectly.
being Han
Yeah, he
Solo
must have
completely.
got
Yeah,
paid.
like because it's funny because you can see like contemporary Harrison Ford movies where they don't pay him as much, and you can tell he's phoning it in. But here you can tell that he got that Disney money. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
I gotta act my ass off now.
Okay, come on. We're not thinking that there was some nostalgia there.
No, he does not give two shits about Star Wars.
He
He loves the checks he got from it and the checks he still keeps getting, but I don't think he cares at all about it.
No, I don't think that's completely true.
Okay. Agree to disagree, but you're wrong.
Disagree.
Agree to disagree, but you're wrong. Uh-huh. I don't know.
I have no idea. You would think I don't know. It's just I don't know. That's a great question. Maybe he just doesn't. Maybe to him it's just like.
Well, I mean, he's done
just a
so
good
much
job.
things.
You know,
he
you
has.
don't care.
I mean, he's Blade Runner. He's Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
He's the president of the United States, and he's Han Solo. I mean, what else? I mean, he's good. He's good.
It's true. He's good. But anyway, but the Han Solo, everything was fantastic. Actually, it was so well done. It was really fun to actually see him interacting with Rey inside of the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
And have her kind of have a step up, like, "Oh, I fixed this," and him being like all proud of her and stuff. That was really cute to watch.
And I wouldn't be nice to you. You're offering me a job. I said I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I know.
It was like they combined Harrison Ford with Han Solo. It was perfect.
It was great. I really liked it, and how obviously all his scenes with Chewie and how much he loves like Chewie's. What the hell is that thing? It's
crossbow.
Like a crossbow.
I still don't buy it. That
neither did I. I'm like, wait,
he was really good.
How many decades of you being buddies with Chewie and you never asked him to use it?
Touched his. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yep.
Come on, JJ.
And then suddenly being surprised, like, oh, I love this thing. It's like, haven't you seen him use it for decades?
Yeah.
Why would you be surprised by its destructive power?
Which is another like a credit to Kylo Ren got shot twice by that thing. And
which is another thing that they criticize the final battle a lot. Like, how would this newbie into the Force defeat Kylo Ren? It's like he got shot by that thing twice that destroyed other people, and he still almost beat her.
And that's the thing. People complain about that, but they didn't realize that was set up throughout the movie. That like the crossbow is lethal. It'll just like destroy anybody. And he like took it like a champ, and then he's like dealing with like the blast of it.
Dealing with the blast, still losing blood.
Yep.
Fucked up in his head because he just killed his dad.
And still able to hold his own.
Yep.
And still able to hold his own.
And he was only beating, and he only lost to Rey because she got the Force in her, and like boom, fuck you. Here we go.
And she found it.
And she's a survivor.
No, she's a Palpatine.
She was ready to fight at that moment. She's a Palpatine. And,
here we go.
No,
at that
that
moment, it was
was
just like she
nobody.
found the Force for the first time, and he had estimated one enemy, and then suddenly she became a different enemy.
Yeah, absolutely.
More powerful than he
Yep.
was ever expecting, and he was probably at his last gasp.
Which kind of like brings something I loved about the Force
Yeah.
Awakens. It was like the play on
Oh
They did
yeah,
really well
colors,
with that.
fight
like the
is
lighting.
amazing. One, how
They
awesome is Kylo
they
Ren's
did
lightsaber?
that like amazingly.
Yes,
Like
very, very awesome. I will
And
admit that
then-
when I saw it for the first time on the trailer, I was like, really? But then
It's
I was like,
amazing.
okay, yeah, it's cool.
They did an amazing. I actually had underrated this lightsaber fight. We're gonna have to obviously talk about lightsaber fights again, but that whole contrast with the colors,
Mhm.
like Kylo Ren in black, and then the snow and
Yeah,
the
oh, yeah.
lightsabers, and the fact that you can see the steam from the
Yes,
snow
yes.
going off of the lightsabers
No.
is
Yep.
it's an amazing scene actually.
No, and the audio in that scene too complements that
Oh.
so much. Because I remember being in the movie theater and just like remember hearing like all the little snowdrops just like dissolving in the lightsaber. You just hear all of that
Yeah.
little nuance. I'm like, oh man, this scene.
Yeah, and
this
every
is
time one of
legit.
the lightsabers actually touch the ground, you can hear it louder.
Yeah, it was
Like when it actually touches the ground, it's amazing.
And it had some like poetic choreography too, because especially like that one scene. I mean, obviously it's kind of like way literal, but it was still good. Like when they're like holding their arms and like kind of struggling and during the fight, and then she's like holding his lightsaber down, and he's holding her lightsaber up, and it's like obviously the light going up and darkness going down, like
dark
all
going
those
down.
visuals, it's like great, which ties into that scene when Han bites the dust, when they have like the light shining down on the bridge, and then all of a sudden, right before Kylo's gonna kill him, light goes out, and I'm like, this movie's doing
Okay, so
some
then
really
let's
cool things.
actually talk about the scene, not just use it to segue, because it's a very good scene.
No, it is, and it starts like it actually starts like there's a parallel to the first scene, right when we meet Kylo and
Lord
that
Santeca.
old dude that I don't remember his name.
How do you even know that?
There we go.
I know things.
Ooh, what again?
I drink it. I know
okay.
things.
Okay. Go Mo.
Game of Thrones.
So when he says like, oh, I know where you come from.
Oh yeah.
The light that's behind him is blue, and there's like sparks.
Yeah, you're right.
Come on. And then at the end you have that whole scene where like half his face is blue, and then half his face is red, and then that's when you have the shutdown of the light, and then just the whole red thing. So it's almost like a whole circle.
I kind of really thought he was going to lose his hand there, though. And, like all Skywalker men.
I'm kind of glad he didn't, though, because then it would have been like, oh my God, it's poetry, it rhymes. Jesus Christ.
I know. I'm kind of glad he didn't. But at the same time, I thought it's like, like all Skywalker men, you lose your hand in a lightsaber fight. That's what happens.
No. She's not a Skywalker man.
Well, you can switch it out. Do you discriminate?
No, but she's an adopted Skywalker woman. So see, it's
regardless of the fact that she did not lose her hand. I mean, I think we need to move on again, because I think we're getting off on a tangent. We discussed how amazing the battle is. We don't need to discuss who lost a hand. Well, I mean, that was a little fun anyway.
Or didn't lose an arm.
Or didn't lose a hand, because now we're being discriminatory. Yeah, you called her a Skywalker already just because you changed her name, but now you said that she's an adopted Skywalker. So I think you're being a little...
a fact is a fact is a fact.
Okay. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. I think we should go to what hurts the most in this movie, which obviously is the death of Han.
I mean, it hurts, but
we knew it was going to happen. We knew. Everybody knew it was going to happen. We talked about it a million times.
And it needed to happen, too.
It did need to happen, but it still hurts. It hurt, again, when I watched it this weekend. It's actually a very well done scene.
Oh, it was. I think that's one of the best scenes that movie has.
Yeah. So, come on, opinions about the scene.
Let's see. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm a little distracted with that scene just because of some things about Starkiller Base. I'm gonna ignore Starkiller Base for a minute and just talk about it. And I think like it all ties into like Lawrence Kasdan and like how he's just able to write the best character dynamics, and you can totally tell that he loves Han Solo because of how he wrote him in Empire Strikes Back, and then how he wrote him in this movie. And it's such a powerful scene because you can like see the pain in his eyes, especially when you like compare that scene with the previous scene of him leaving Leia to go to Starkiller and her telling him like, if you see our son, bring him back.
Yeah. And her like, telling him that Luke was his master. He's a Jedi, but you are his father. Yeah. You have more power than you think. Oh,
but when she tells him like bring him back, you can kind of see in his eyes he's like, oh shit. And like in that scene, he's just like, well, there he is. I gotta confront him,
but I have to do this
because he's not like when I see that scene, like I don't see like him only confronting his son. He's kind of confronting himself.
Agreed.
Because he's like when contrasting it to what you said, Nani, of like Leia telling him about like Luke is a Jedi, you are his father. It's like Han has a lot of demons about what happened, and he's obviously hurt by it. And in a way, he was in a self-imposed exile, just like Luke was. You know, Luke went to Ahch-To because he failed as Jedi Master, and like Han left his family because he lost Ben. So they were both men tortured by the decisions that they made that like led their, you know, loved ones to a dark path. So like you can see that he's like mustering that courage to face his demons and face his son, and it's just like so heartbreaking of him to be fatherly and loving, even though like, you know, we see this stoic, black clad mask wearing entity. It was just terrible, especially like when he actually thinks that his son is gonna like come back.
No, wait, before you get into all of it, before you get into the actual end of what it happens, I think you were touching on something that I really like. It's kind of the fact that you kind of brought Han Solo back to what he was before, like kind of running away from everything. He's just a pirate because that's the only thing he knows how to do. He felt like he failed. And then you watch him become the Han Solo that we love again in one movie. You know, you see him being
but I think that's super interesting though, the way you're saying it, because he in a way has a similar arc to Luke, but no one gives him shit for it.
I know.
He regresses, and he kind of retreats into himself, even though he was like the hero of the rebellion, the general, you know, that like helped destroy the second Death Star.
And everybody, like when Rey first seasons, you're the hero, you're the general, and he's just like, I'm a smuggler. Like he just regresses into that. He doesn't want to take credit for anything because he feels like he failed.
Yeah.
But my question is how involved was Han in racing Ben?
I don't think that they've gone into that like too much in the books. I think that Lost Stars or Bloodlines, one of the two Claudia Gray books, kind of like touch on it a little bit, and then like I think the implication is that like they were good parents, but that they kind of sent him off to train with Luke very young.
But they don't really tell how old he was when he was first sent, because I'm sure he probably, you know, started showing signs of the Force young, and they were scared because obviously Darth Vader.
But I don't think we need to know that anyway for like.
We don't. I don't think we know. I think he loved his parents because you can see how much it hurt him when he does kill his dad, and the fact that he isn't able to kill Leia either.
Yeah.
Because
and we know for a fact, based on Last Jedi and like the novelizations of the book, that when he kills him, it doesn't give him the closure he needs. He thought that would. Like,
it actually starts to take him the other way.
Exactly.
So anyway, going back to the actual scene, I mean, when you see Kylo Ren walking down the bridge and Han Solo just yelling out Ben and just like, screw the mission, I don't care. And he's just like, Ben, and just goes after him. And it's just so heartbreaking. And then that scene's right in the middle of the bridge. And like you said, you know, you see the light and then the light blinks off. But the entire conversation, you kind of know where it's going. You know what he's saying. And it sucks so much. I mean, when he says, he's like, I'm just looking at somebody with a mask, take it off. I want to see the face of my son. And then he takes off the mask and he touches his face and then they're both crying. And it's just, it's gut wrenching, honestly, because you can see that Han Solo kind of knows he's probably gonna die, but he's trying his best, regardless.
You can see
like,
pain on. You can see pain on.
Oh yeah, and you can tell that Kylo really doesn't want to do it, but he knows somehow he's convinced himself that the dark side is the way that he needs to go, and he thinks that the love for his father is the only thing that he needs to get rid of for him to move on.
Yeah.
And that whole entire conversation, will you help me? I need you. And it's just heartbreaking.
Which is kind of like a little bit of a tangent to that, but now that you mentioned it, every time I watch at least Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, not The Rise of Skywalker, but I watch those two movies, I always like wonder if it was kind of an intentional thing from like the screenwriters to make those movies kind of meta in the sense of like the commentary that they're trying to do, because obviously the main characters, Rey and Kylo Ren, are young people of our generation that are going to be analogous to. And they're dealing with, and basically those movies are about them dealing with the legacy of their parents in the past. So I kind of wonder if like that's kind of a meta commentary of like how fandom is in a way, not necessarily like the world, even though I think we can apply it to the world, but like I like to look at it more insular, I guess, because we're looking into Star Wars with a microscope here, and like thinking of how Rey and Kylo maybe are like two sides of Star Wars fandom, how we deal with that legacy of the original Star Wars. I see like a lot of parallels in that sense, especially like with that scene and with Kylo saying the whole "let the past die" and all that stuff like that's happening in The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and I can't help but wonder if that was intentional. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's Occam's razor. I think it's that will be way too overthought.
Like, I think it applies really cleanly, though.
Yeah, but just because there's like a parallel doesn't mean. I mean, I'm not taking away. It's just
correlation is not causation.
Exactly. Like, because that, like, then you can just say it's just exactly the same thing. Like, are you dealing with? We're just dealing with a new mythos of how do you deal with two opposites? Yeah, like that's kind of like what the hero's journey ends up being. Also, like how do you deal with two conflicting sides of yourself? Which one's gonna win? Which one's gonna lose? So I don't know. It could be, but this is the first time I'm hearing it. It sounds like.
it sounds a little overreaching.
It sounds like overreaching.
Yeah. It sounds a little overreaching.
Like don't I appreciate like that connection.
But on that point, I would like to just call a little bit the fact when Kylo Ren talks to Darth Vader's melted mask. And the fact that we actually get the Darth Vader theme when it shows up, which is awesome. But I always wondered, like, did anybody tell him that Darth Vader actually goes into the light at the end, and he didn't?
Yes, but he believes that him in the light was a corruption. He believes that his true self was in the dark.
Was the dark, and he was corrupted by the light.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I could be wrong. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. Anybody?
No, I think you're right, because he actually says, when he talks to whatever Palpatine's puppet was now, Snoke, he says that he feels like he's being corrupted by the light.
Yeah.
I get that. But I don't know. I feel like there's a disconnect there. I have no idea.
There's a total
that's why we should have had a goddamn fucking Hayden Christensen cameo with goddamn Anakin Skywalker being
explaining
like, hey,
to him the fact that I was an actual Jedi, I was corrupted by the dark side, and then became light again. Stop being a little idiot.
He didn't have to say it literally like that, but like something along those lines. It's like such a wasted opportunity. Oh my god, wouldn't that have been epic? I mean, I did love Han in Rise of Skywalker, don't get me wrong. But like having Anakin there would have been like,
showed up.
Yeah, you're actually tying all 9 movies together with Anakin.
Yep. Because they never mention Darth Vader again, really, except in negative terms. I mean, you get that one scene when Luke does his pyre and kind of like forgives him, obviously, because he, Darth saved his life. But then you never hear anything again. Darth is always a negative character. You never hear anything about the fact that he actually redeemed himself.
And because the galaxy doesn't know that, actually.
But
in Bloodlines, they go into that.
That Luke is the only one that knows that.
Luke and Leia know that. And
so it's
in
confirmed
Bloodlines,
that
I haven't read
that,
the book.
So it's confirmed that only Luke and Leia know that, and that's it. I
haven't read Bloodlines, but from what I've read about it in the book, like Leia knows it, and obviously she's keeping it secret because she knows that would hurt her career as a politician in the New Republic. But like, I don't remember which character it is, but some character in the book learns the truth, and then they out her as Darth Vader's daughter. So like, it's widely known in the galaxy that she is Darth Vader's daughter. So like, I think that by extension, that means that they know that it's Anakin Skywalker. But it is common knowledge that Ben is the grandson of Darth Vader.
Okay. And is it ever known that Darth Vader stopped being a bad guy?
I don't know about that. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to check. We'll have to see if Star Wars Explained had some video on it, because I do not know.
Yeah, is there any, because he gets redeemed. And he actually shows up, as a Force ghost with Jedi regalia. Like, he's actually accepted as a Force ghost, redeemed.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone else could see that. I don't think anyone can see.
Of course they can't see that, but is there any acknowledgement later on? Because Luke starts, the new Jedi Order. Is there no acknowledgement that his father was actually Anakin Skywalker, that was a redeemed Jedi that came back from the dark side?
That is a fantastic question.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a whole episode that could be.
Yeah.
A fantastic question that I do not have the answer to.
Yeah.
Because
I just always wondered about that. I wondered about that because in the entire new series, they never ever mentioned the fact that Darth Vader redeemed himself. They only talk about him as a bad guy.
You see, I can assume that they never actually wanted to redeem Darth Vader. Like, it doesn't make sense, like as in marketing or politically, because he was such a powerful symbol of the Empire.
Yeah.
That
he did some fucked up shit. Yeah.
Yes. He did.
I know, but wouldn't it be incredibly powerful to say that one of the biggest enforcers of the dark side and the Empire turned against the dark side and the Empire?
I think people do. Wait. I'm going to look up the quote. But actually, I do think they know about that because Rey, when she's talking to Luke in The Last Jedi, and he's telling her about the failures of the Jedi. I think, I'm going to look up the quote now, but I think she tells him, and a Jedi who turned them back. Let me look it up. Discuss amongst yourself while I do that.
Discuss amongst yourselves. Anyway, Mo, I was actually wondering about that when I saw it, because I see like Kylo Ren's obsession with his grandfather. And I'm like, why are you so obsessed with the fact that he was of the dark side and you have to fulfill his spirit to be of the dark side when his last act was to reject the dark side?
And here we go. Wait, sorry to interrupt. I found it. Luke says to Rey, at the height of their powers, they allowed Darth Sidious to rise, create the Empire, and wipe them out. It was a Jedi Master who was responsible for the training and creation of Darth Vader. And then Rey tells him, and a Jedi who saved him. Yes, the most hated man in the galaxy, but you saw there was conflict inside him. You believed that he wasn't gone, that he could be turned. So I think based on that, and based on the fact that, Rey was a scavenger in Jakku in the middle of nowhere, if she knows that, like the galaxy at least has some idea of it.
Okay. But they weren't naming names.
They weren't naming names. This is true.
Yep. And in propaganda, names are important.
This is true.
Yes.
So there's no guarantee that anybody actually knew.
Fact.
Yeah. Which I think is a disservice to Anakin Skywalker and his development, honestly. That you have to put him again as the source of evil towards the end. Which is fine. I love Darth Vader. I love the scene in Rogue One when he is Darth Vader, badass, full form. But I think it takes away from character development the fact that, his greatest achievement was that he was able to go back to the light, and then that's not acknowledged, really.
Which is the whole point of the original 6 movies.
Yep.
And, not kind of bring that home. In the culminating 3 is kind of disappointing. That's absolutely true. I already said it. I'm gonna keep harping on it. We needed Force Ghost Anakin in The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, definitely agreed.
Yep.
Which is so sad.
To kind of keep it focused on Force Awakens, since we were talking about the light coming into that scene with Han Solo and Kylo Ren. How do we feel about Starkiller Base?
You mean that's the extra exaggerated version of the Death Star?
Yeah.
Death Star on steroids.
I think that's one way to put it. Yes.
Yes. It's cool, but it is basically the Star on steroids. And then the fact that you get now Finn, it's like, oh, I have a map. Then it's like, oh, I got a map. And then you kind of take away how hard it was to get a map of the Death Star from Rogue One. It's I have this.
He worked there though.
I know.
I do hate that they made that little comment as the guy who used to mop it. And it's just, why do they have to say that? Yeah, you worked at Starkiller Base. Why do we have to make the black guy the guy that mops the station?
Which makes it inconsistent. Why would you be the one mopping it?
Why would he be able to know where every security access ever is?
Yeah,
and why was he sent then to shoot people? At the beginning,
as an active stormtrooper. Why would they make him?
That didn't add up. Yeah, that was just weird.
That didn't add up.
I think that was their attempt at comedy. I just think that it was kind of ill placed. I was like, okay.
I think they wanted just to throw Phasma into
which I thought was the dumbest fucking thing.
And not using Phasma at all, you barely get any Phasma whatsoever.
Well, it
could have worked if we got more Phasma. Because maybe they tried to pull off a Boba Fett kind of thing, but it was weird because
it was weird.
Their marketing was oh, we're bringing this Brienne of Tarth.
Brienne of Tarth, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
But then it kind of it almost
and then they give her this amazing armor, and she sounds amazing coming from behind the mask, and then they kind of just that's it.
Fact.
And then they bring her back, and then kill her again. Yep.
Sad.
That was something else that was very disappointing.
I was disappointed about that. Yep.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they could have taken her out of the equation in this movie without having to pander to the original. I think. I think that's one of those things that I was talking about before that upsets me about this movie. Even though I really enjoy it, I still think that in contrast to The Last Jedi, it's just so pandering to nostalgia that it's good and it worked and it's still a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of misses to a degree. It sometimes misses the points of why things were the way they were in the original trilogy, and here it's just carbon copies.
Yeah, and sometimes it misses the chance. And sometimes it misses the chance to bring some nostalgia and segue into something new from that nostalgia. Exactly. Get the interest of people from that nostalgia and then do something new. From there.
That's why I think Starkiller Base is kind of cool now, if you think about it, because of all the tie-ins that have been done with other media, how it used to be Ilum, the planet of the Jedi, and because it was, this planet full of kyber crystals, that's why the Empire was interested on it and started terraforming it and mining it for the crystals, and then the First Order took it over and turned it into a super weapon. I mean, that's cool when you look at all that media behind it, but then in the execution in the movie, even the movie makes fun of it. Oh, so it's a Death Star. No, it's sir. This is the Death Star. This is bigger.
And this is the size of Starkiller Base.
It's okay. Yeah. But then Starkiller Base makes no sense to me again, because then it's wait, but if it's powered by kyber crystals, and we already saw that you can power the Death Star, 2 Death Stars with just kyber crystals, why do we need the power of the sun? and
Well,
that's
to be
not
honest,
how.
that-
And like, I don't
that-
want to be a heckler for Star Wars physics, but I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah.
I don't think
If
you
you
can
have
just siphon
an entire planet full of kyber crystals, you don't really need a sun. Yeah.
I don't know. It was also a really long beam that destroyed 5 planets at the same time. So who knows?
Yeah, you don't know how overcharged it needs to be.
But it is kind of wasteful because like once the sun expires,
You need to move somewhere else to shoot it.
yeah,
You need to
only
be
target targets where
only in the
the sun is
vicinity of a
at.
star system.
Yeah.
You can't just be anywhere.
Yeah. There's something very inoperable about it. You don't really need to kill 3 planets at the same time. Just the Death Star. You can just do one at a time.
Also, how far away were the planets? It's like
that's true.
That laser went really fast.
I'm sure Neil deGrasse Tyson can tell us
how Star Wars is wrong.
Exactly. No, but in a way, and like this is a kind of controversial. I think Rise of Skywalker did that a little better because there's no planet killer. There's just a fleet of ships that have like big ass fucking destroyer weapons, and I think that was a cooler concept, which is kind of the Last Jedi thing with the Dreadnought. And like I would have preferred kind of that type of threat. It's just like, okay, we can't replicate the Death Star because 1, it's been done to death, and 2, it's not interesting anymore, and 3, we can't replicate that technology. So let's just like have smaller versions of that may not be planet killers, but are still like a fleet of like hyper powered weapons that can like do damage in some catastrophic way, but not in the same way. So like a Starkiller base, I don't know. That was one of the things that like were a big myth for me.
Especially because the whole reason that you're able to do the Death Star and everything, it's because it's big as a moon. It has to be stationary where certain things are happening. So if you have control of the galaxy, you can do that. But in these movies, the Last Order is not in power.
First Order, Nani, come on. The
first order. What did I say? Last?
You said the last.
Well, I'm sorry. We've been talking for a while.
It's the vodka. It's the vodka talking.
It's the vodka. So the First Order is not the central government at this point. So they shouldn't have been able to get away with commandeering an entire planet, building it into a weapon, and nobody noticing.
Well, it was. Well, here we go. Let's see. This is the problem. Now we're going into extended media because Ilum was close to the unknown regions. It was a planet that wasn't really controlled by the New Republic, so they were able to do the shady shit that we're doing.
But if it is actually Ilum.
It is Ilum. We know Starkiller
Base. It is Ilum. Okay, so it is Ilum where the crystals are.
Yes.
Yes. Wouldn't have Luke felt a disturbance in the Force?
Luke had cut off his tie to the Force. Remember?
I know, but I think something as big as that would have alerted him.
No, if you cut yourself.
If you cut us completely, no matter. Okay.
Because it's kind of like being in a net, like you're connected to everything, but then you create a bubble around yourself. You can't feel anything.
And then you're connected to nothing.
Yeah, it's like you're just there, nothing.
But it also could have been one of those things for kind of a Palpatine thing where he was playing fifth dimensional chess and kind of when obviously Starkiller Base was happening before Luke went into exile. So maybe Palpatine was doing his like fifth dimensional chess where he was like blocking Luke's vision towards Ilum to where he couldn't see what was happening.
Yeah. Okay.
True. It's Palpy.
So that actually makes sense of Palpatine being the ultimate bad guy.
Palpy is
the fact that he has the power to.
Palpatine.
I know, but I know.
This wasn't done
anyway,
right.
Guys.
The ultimate bad guy.
if it would have been done right, it would have been exceptional, honestly, to just bring him back in all his glory instead of tied up to a bunch of tubes. Sorry. Anyway. Anything else you guys want to say about The Force Awakens? Because I thought we were going to do a short episode and we've been going on.
It is a good movie.
It is a good movie.
It is a great movie. But one thing.
What's going to happen when we talk about The Last Jedi? It's going to turn to 3 episodes.
We're going to have to do a part 2.
We're gonna go Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and do part 1 and part 2.
Part 1, part 2.
No, but one thing I want to say about like The Force Awakens, and I don't know if like I had mentioned it before, but like it's a movie that every time I've rewatched it, yes, I have enjoyed it, and I think it's a movie that holds up, but I don't think it matures as well think it's just
Just
like
the Last Jedi.
there we go. As the
Of
Last
course.
Jedi. Every time I
We're
watch
so biased.
no, but it's like it's the same thing with the original trilogy. Every time
Yeah.
I watch A New Hope, it's
Yeah,
just as good.
it feels better
Every
to me.
time
Every time I watch Empire, it feels better to me. Even
and
Return of the Jedi feels better.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. For me, it's worse. Every time I like watch
No,
Return of the Jedi,
I
I'm
hate
like,
the Ewoks, but every single time I watch Luke walk up
oh yeah,
with his black outfit and just talks down to Jabba and everything. I mean, there's still great things about Return of the Jedi.
oh no, there is. Like for me,
Yeah.
like one of the best things of Return of the Jedi is like Luke facing down the Emperor. Soon I'll be dead, and you with me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god,
Mhm.
it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And him holding his own, like what Anakin was never able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your overconfidence
He-
is your weakness.
Yeah.
Your faith in your friends.
He was
is your
never able to
strength.
stand up to the Emperor. He was only able to stand up to the Emperor because he was killing his son. That's it.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that. How Luke succeeded in terms of his allegiance to the Force in like a future episode. Because
Yeah.
I think it's very more nuanced than like light side, dark side type of dynamic.
Yeah.
But again, so for another episode. But I think this has been like a really cool conversation to talk about like the first movie and the sequel trilogy, which will be like an actual a larger conversation. I think we're all three of us are gonna have in a future episode where we're gonna dissect all three first episodes: The Phantom Menace, A New Hope, and The Force Awakens, and we're gonna do like that deep dive of like how all three of those first movies kickstart their respective trilogies. And I think this was a kind of good way to like seg into that. I don't know which it'll be the next episode or the episode after that, but it should be a good conversation based on like what we've discussed so far.
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't
Anything
know.
else
Did you
to say,
have?
Mo?
Yeah.
No, I think yeah, no, that's it. I think
I think everybody's good, and we're clearly tired.
I think we're tired. We talked our share for Wednesday. It was definitely fun.
And I think you ran out of philosophy, didn't you?
The what?
Mo, you ran out a little bit of philosophy. You're out of over, philosophizing everything, which I thought is great. You got a lot of,
and these aren't our philosophy episodes. Wait till we go.
These are not in my philosophy. It just happens naturally. Like
it happens. Yeah, I know, and I love it. Don't stop, Mo.
I won't. Don't worry. I'm like a radical self-acceptance here. So.
Anyway, I think this should be goodbye then.
Yeah, I think so. Nani, why don't you sign us off since you're the master of signing us in?
I am the master of signing us in. That's my job now.
Well, you got. Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
That could be an official title.
Fine. Okay. Anyway, love you, Mo. Love you, Goose. I wish I could see you in person. With COVID, we can't see each other at all. So I love that we have the time to do this. And everybody that's listening to us, like and subscribe, share, leave us a review. We are on iTunes. We are on YouTube. Please like us. If you don't like us, don't leave a review.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
And may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.